Tonight, we're talking about how to help kids become food explorers by using their five senses. And as a speech language pathologist, and with many OTs and SLPs and RDs too, and parents listening, we actually have a few more senses than just five. But Danny is also a great teacher. And one thing she believes in is to keep it simple and direct for these kids. So she's created a wonderful way of explaining to children how we can use five of our senses to really explore food in a fun way and make it an adventurous learning experience. Before I introduce you to Danny, I'm going to brag for a minute, okay, everybody? So I'm very proud of my books over my shoulder, but you know what? I'm a little more proud of this one because this is Danny's book that just came out. I literally got it in the mail yesterday, and it's 101 Descriptive Words for Food Explorers. She has lots of other books and resources for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce her by reading real quickly what's on the back because I'm a little proud of it. About the author, Danny is an author, registered dietitian, nutritionist, and experience-based educator. It's one of the things I love about you. For children and families, learn more about her work and growing adventurous eaters at experiencedeliciousnow.com. And I'll put that website in the comments for you. But then this person named Melanie Potock wrote a little blurb on the back of this book. I don't know who she is, but she seems like a really cool woman. So here's what I had to say, because I got to be one of the first people to see it. And as I said yesterday, the hard copy came. But here's what I said, and this is why I want you to pay attention. Why did I fall in love with this book? 101 Descriptive Words for Food Explorers, a visual guide for adventures in food, will help even the most hesitant eaters learn to describe and compare new foods as they become more adventurous eaters while building vocabulary and cognitive skills. Because as an SLP, I couldn't help but notice how great it is. And that's where your role as an educator really came through. It's fun, it's engaging, and it's my go-to resource to help kids develop a love for language and new foods at the same time. So you can find this on Danny's website. I'll put it in the comments for all of you. Make sure you're tagging your friends right now and let them know to join us. But we're going to go ahead and get started. Danny, so when I first met you, it's because you and I were doing a lot of the same things. And I contacted you on Instagram and I said, hey, girl, you're me. And we've fast become friends. So tell everybody what it means to be a food explorer.
Absolutely. So a food explorer comes in all different shapes, sizes, and comfort levels associated with trying new things. But for me, what it means to be a food explorer comes down to a growth mindset and or a wonder mindset. So that is being open-minded to trying anything new. And a food explorer can use their bodies to visit farm and see where food is grown. They can visit markets and help pick out foods and to investigate, and they can travel around the world to try new things. They can visit a forest and learn how to forage. A food explorer can even read about a food in a book or Google a food. And as long as they are just using any one of their senses or their wonder mindset or brain, they become a food explorer. But the first thing, in my opinion, to becoming a food explorer, and I just recently posted about this, when I think about becoming a food explorer, I think about Indiana Jones. And the one thing that stands out to me about Indiana Jones is his brown tattered hat. So I like to put my food explorer hat on before I go searching for delicious. And this is also one of my free resources on my website. If you go to the freebies page in the free resource library, this is my 3.5-year-old's food explorer hat. So this is one that you can color. But for me, my food explorer hat looks a little bit, well, it's not quite so tattered, but it's really having that open mindset to explore new foods, no matter if you're in person or using virtual means or taste testing or exploring in a store.
I love what you're saying because it's not about taking a bite. We'll get there through this process of using all five of our senses. Yeah, yeah. But having that wonder mindset, really being curious, is
Mhm.
how we get kids there. And kids are naturally curious. Can you tell me a little bit more about exploring foods with your five senses, and how does that relate to food literacy and specifically?
So, actually, before I talk about foods and exploring foods with our five senses, I think it's really important to take a couple of steps back. So, if you already follow me on Instagram, you know I posted a little bit about one of the points I'm about to make today. But before I do that, I want to mention actually something that Coach Mel does in her book, Adventures in Veggieland. And so, one of the concepts that I love that you really focus on is your three E's. So, that is expose, explore, and expand.
Good.
And that to me is what directly relates to food literacy, because exposure is not necessarily when you're sitting down at the table to try a new food. Exposure and exploring and expanding doesn't necessarily involve the taste testing process. Now, I love the tools in your book that guides you with those three E's, but it can be anything related to exploration of food. And so, actually, I'm just going to show one of my um, resources real quickly. And this is my book, Where Do Bananas Come From? So, I have a whole series. My next book will be on legumes, and I have a book on. I'm sorry if you can't see
It's
with the
perfect. It's fine.
with the glare. But the idea is my books are based on food literacy that take the reader from farm to fork. So you learn about photosynthesis and you learn about the different types of fruit. Like there are simple fruit, there are aggregate fruit, and there are multifruit. Full fruit. And then we get into very specifically each individual fruit, and the fruit book has 108 fruits and varieties, and the veggie has 102. So, what is your favorite fruit?
Kiwi.
Kiwi. Oh, that's a good one.
Do you have
I'd
that in there?
still in season. Do you prefer the golden kiwis or the green kiwis?
Well, if I'm fancy, golden.
Oh, fancy. So this is, let's see. Okay, it's a little bit of a challenge, but you have good.
Yeah.
So after learning about some of the basics about where food comes from, this will expand and help food explorers learn about food literacy. So this each individual fruit in a non-threatening way because it's in a book. And if you want to take that beyond the book, then you can. And so the books go through and they have the name of the fruit, other names they're often known by, how to pronounce them, descriptive words, and then what fruit category it relates to, how it's grown. So it talks about the different fruit plants. It talks about the good for my body nutrients. Now, as a dietitian, I think that is one piece of the puzzle. And I will tell you, I have some kiddos. I have a 3-year-old mom that messages me and sends me videos of this little person talking about the different good for my body nutrients, and that is what interests him. So you never know what's going to interest but each little person.
Yeah.
But that fun facts, also pictures of how it's grown so you can actually see what it looks like. I think it's important to note that all of the characters in the book are based on photographs that have digital illustrations over them, so you can easily recognize them in the store. And then when your little people are ready for the pick, store, and eat, well, then they can take their book to the store. Or I also have a free printable on my website. That's the You Pick guides that you can just print, even if you don't have the book, how to keep it, and then ideas for how to eat it. There's a simple recipe. And then these icons here are also related to cooking methods that are explained in the beginning of the book. And some other facts, and then also when it's in season or when it's available. So one other thing that I love about Adventures in Veggieland is it's based on the season. And so this book will guide you, or all my books will guide you on the seasonality of foods. And I think that is another big piece of food literacy, because we know when things are in season, it's ripe, it's fresh, it's delicious, and it's ready to be eaten.
It's available. It's available,
Exactly.
and the kids will see it, as they're exploring the grocery store, the farmer's market, etc. I think one of the things I love most about all the freebies that you provide and your books is that the illustrations are really superb, but there's also information in there for the parent as they're reading it with the child. What age what age are you kind of targeting to help with so many of your different books? Because you have a lot of different things for everyone.
Yeah, so I would say when I'm classifying it, it's about 4 and up, which the 4-year-olds will need help with the reading, but there's a lot of images that can be related to. But I will tell you, my 3.5-year-old came in and saw everything set up, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful! All my books are out." And we've started playfully looking at the book and using it as a tool. So, for example, this is one way I open up about talking about new foods or trying a new food. So, for example, she is not so into blackberries, but she loves the Baba blackberry caramel.
Oh,
She's
cute.
really into that. So, I really think that, I'd say maybe 2 is the youngest, but I think that there are things for your littlest food explorers who can really relate to the characters and the fun images. And then there are 10 and 12-year-olds who, one, love to do the recipes, or that are really into the little details and really educating their parents about food. So, well, the kiwi is actually a berry. It's not, doesn't have berry in the name unless you consider the secondary name gooseberry in there. But anyways, so
The kids love that. They love that little bit of trivia, and it's really fun to do around the dinner table. And
oh yeah,
the kids love to come up with those things to kind of stuff their parents.
exactly.
But I also think that many times for parents, they're not quite sure what to talk about other than it's good for you, which is kind of the way I was raised. I didn't really get the fun I have great parents, but they didn't see the fun in it. And that's what I love about everything that you're providing to families. Let's dive into the 5 senses. I see you've got a chart there behind you. Let's just explain to everybody, how to teach about the 5 senses and incorporate it into food literacy.
Absolutely. Can I mention one more thing, if that's
Sure.
okay? I want to also say, with something that I kind of mentioned on my social media today, and I know you do a really great job at, is that when your child says that they don't like something, or they're using negative language about food, like saying yuck or I don't like this, and you have those issues at the table, I think that a huge part of being an adventurous eater and having that wonder mindset is encouraging that positive dialogue. So if you happen to see my Instagram post, I talk about don't yuck someone else's yum. And so around our table, we say, well, if my daughter says that I don't like that, then we say it's not my favorite. And if she says yuck, she can say I'm still exploring it. And you can find words that work for your family. But I think it's really important to have some tools in your tool belt of things that you'll say as you begin to be more adventurous and explore, because I think that it will help not only the parent, but also any caregiver or child or educator.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So we're talking about the 5 senses. Just run through them for me. I know what they are, but
Yeah. Okay. So 5 senses, maybe I should take off my food explorer hat. I don't know. What do you think? On, off?
I like it, but okay.
Oh, okay. So our 5 senses are obviously our eyes, what we see with our eyes. And then we can see the colors, the textures, the shapes. Then we have our ears, so we can hear what we hear when we run our fingers over something, or when we take a bite, if you can hear a sound when you take a bite. Our smell, so our sense of smell, what sort of things do we experience when we hold something up to our nose. We have our taste, our tongue, which tells us flavor. It also can indicate texture, but another thing that I think is really important, and the reason why we talk about a lot with 5 senses, is the feel. So the feel is not just only what you feel in your hands, but also the mouth feel and what we experience in our mouths.
I love that, Danny, because that's actually something that professional chefs talk a lot about, is the mouth feel of whatever they're preparing for their guests. And so often when I'm speaking about the five senses, I always want to point out to everybody that taste is what you experience on your tongue, but flavor is the combination of the two types of smell, which is smelling through your nose and also the aroma going up the back of your throat. There are actually two different types of aroma mixing with the taste, and that's what creates flavor. So taste plus smell equals flavor. So we have those two senses interacting intimately with each other to create a whole new sensory experience. And I also wanted to share too that one of the things I talk about in Adventures in Veggieland is that kids not only hear the crunch when the crunch emerges out of their mouth and those sound waves travel through the air into their ears, but if they plug their ears, just like you're underwater, they'll hear the crunch to be a bone conduction through the bones in their jaw that then vibrate into the inner ear. And just talking to your kids about the science behind it, kids love to do that. They love to plug their ear. And it's funny how they'll try a new food just to hear that different sound.
I think that's a new book idea for you, explaining all the senses to kids. Now, in my books, for simplification and what they're teaching in elementary education is typically just the five senses. But as you mentioned, there's eight. So,
yeah,
it could be another rendition of I Am Not an Otter.
We'll see in my spare time. I know we have some questions here soon.
I did want to mention, if you are looking to explore new foods with the five senses and you're not sure where to begin, on my free resource library, I have a lot of things on there. I even have digital wallpapers for all your kids who are now doing education. My wallpaper is a jackfruit, so you can download digital wallpapers and stuff, but I don't know if you can see, but you can print these 1 to a page or 2 to a page, and these are your My Five Senses worksheets. This one requires a little bit more ability to write, but there's plenty of space to draw, and especially if you do single page, so you can just go and download and print those for free. And any feeding therapists too, if you want to print them, they're on there to print.
Fantastic. Danny, when people are looking for these free resources and they go to your website, and I put the link in the comments and I'll do it again here in a minute, where do they get the free resources?
So basically you just click on freebies and it'll take you to a little email page. And so it signs you up for my newsletter. If you're not interested in receiving updates, I add freebies all the time. But if you're not interested, you can always unsubscribe after you download what you want. But like I said, I'm updating with new stuff all the time, like my Food Explorer hat. Also, there's a quick tutorial for that. It's made with the back of cereal.
It's so great. It is so great. I get your newsletter and I open it right away because you always have a fun new idea, and I incorporate it into my feeding therapy all the time.
Thank you. Yeah. So it's really simple, and then it just gives you it gives you the password, and then you can go in and just download. I don't know. I probably have well over a dozen, maybe on my way to 2 dozen.
Well, Danny, I'm a speech language pathologist, so the word language is in there, right? And although I focus on feeding, I can't help but also think about vocabulary. And that's why I wrote about your book, because I just love the fact that it brings in the literacy component. But can you talk a little bit about some fun ways to help kids find more descriptive words to describe the various new foods, et cetera?
Absolutely. So I think I told you I wanted to play a game today.
Oh,
so this is the game. So if you need a little cheat sheet, you can use your book. You can use the table of contents if you want. But we're going to play a little game. Yeah, that's the one. So we're going to play a little game using a lemon. So if you've ever watched any of Jimmy Fallon, he always does this game where he says, okay, you're going to do this, then I'm going to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with as many descriptive words as we can for a lemon without repeating. And whoever repeats the word first or is at a block, then the other person wins.
All right, let me get ready. Okay. I'm ready. You're going down.
Shake it out. Shake it
The
out.
problem is you've done this a few times. You're a little advantage. Okay, so are you going to start? This is about a lemon, right?
Yeah, it's about a lemon. I'll hold it up. You can start.
Okay, I'm going with the obvious. You ready? Yellow.
That's perfect. Oval.
Bumpy.
Smooth.
Sour.
Porous.
Tart.
Fragrant.
Refreshing.
Citrusy.
Acidic.
Juicy.
Pulp.
Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see here. Bright.
Alerting.
Oh, interesting. Did you say bitter?
No. Wait, am I in trouble for saying no? Was that?
No.
It's not like Simon Says,
I
right?
wasn't repeating one of your words.
Well, I think for the sake of time, I'm going to do one more. Then you give me one more. But this is kind of fun because I can especially see the whole family, passing the lemon around the table and doing this. I like this a lot. Let me think of one more. I think I said that. Seedy.
Great one. Fresh.
Really good. This is so fun. I love it. I love it. And I think it's so fun to see what everybody from the just different age groups would come up with. And when we say things like bursting, explaining why we came up with that word, or refreshing, because it helps to describe the sensory experience of that food while you're just holding it in your hand.
And actually, I'm going to look up refreshing now that you said that in the book, because I'm thinking, I can't remember what refreshing is. Oh, no, refreshing in the book is popsicles. But let's do the stinger, because I know this one has lemons on it, is zesty.
Zesty. It's so great. Such a fun book. Such a fun book.
Or zippy.
All right. Zippy. So anything else you want to say in terms of connecting those five senses and just the descriptive words, and anything else you want to add? Because I know we're going to have some questions here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, actually, I would love to talk about connecting the five senses with a little activity. Do we have time for a quick activity?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. All right, so one of the big things that I like to do is connect with our foods. And so one of the tools that I have, and this isn't a freebie, this is on my Etsy shop. And I have, this is my food, it's upside down. My Food Explorer mat. And this is where you can pick one food to explore. And then I have the My Food Explorer comparison mat. And you can explore two different foods, two varieties of the same food, like Granny Smith apple and a Gala apple, or the same food prepared two ways, like roasted broccoli and raw broccoli. And because my kids are little, I have a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. I have these dry erase crayons that we use, and we kind of fill it in and we draw things. We circle, so I'll write what food we're doing, the cooking method we use, and then she's very capable of circling all the things that she experiences. But this is one way that we can use play and using our five senses with food. And you don't have to have this. Like I said, you can print the My Five Senses form, but this connects a lot of with our littlest food explorers too. So I wanted to have a tool that she could really use, or I have two she's, but my 3.5-year-old could really use. And this goes right along with my books with the cooking method and the foods and things like that. So tonight I thought I would take just another moment if we have it. And this comes with, if you do get it on my Etsy shop, I have a parent's guide, and then I have an educator's toolkit. And it's 20-something pages with prompted questions and at a glance how-tos. And it comes with tips and tools to get you started. It comes with a 100-word descriptive glossary, different cooking methods to help you explain that. And then it also comes with a couple of lesson plans too. Okay. And so basically, we have the same food here. And this food is a zucchini. On my social media, I focus on one food over 2 to 3 weeks, and I give facts about it, and I do STEAM activities, and I do recipes and things like that. So this is my next one coming up, so I thought I'd do it real quick with that. So we have a zucchini, and you saw how we could talk about this fresh vegetable, and I have it prepared 2 ways. So this is raw, and these are in coins. So this is one other thing to notice, which I'm sure you really love from all your sensory. And then my girls really love to eat things with their hands, and so these matchsticks are perfect for that. And these are just sauteed. And so basically what you would do is you would go through each one, and you would check or circle the different things that you notice about it. So you could do apples to apples, but I wanted to make it kind of fun. So you can see, what do you notice about the raw? What do you see? Well, you see, do you want to play? Do you want to tell me all the things?
You want me to tell you?
Sure.
Sure. More than just the shape, or does it matter?
Yeah, you can tell me any other physical things. Is it slimy? Is it dry? Is it glossy? Does it look rough?
Okay. It looks spongy, and it looks speckled.
Perfect. Ooh, I love that, speckled. Okay, and then you can't feel it, so I'll do the feels. So they're both kind of wet, but this, the sauteed version feels a little bit slimy, maybe because it has some oil on there. It also feels more tender or soft than the more firm raw version. I'll do smell. The fresh version does not have very much scent. It's, I would say, almost odorless, and there is a caramelization smell on this sauteed one. It smells savory, and it makes me want to take a bite. Here, let's see. I don't know if you can detect that.
No.
There's a little bit of a crunch. Not so much of a crunch with that. And then taste, well, you can tell me what a raw zucchini tastes like to you.
To me, the taste, the way I would describe it is it tastes like outside. It tastes like a garden. It tastes like fresh.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very good. I love it. So I'm going to taste this sauteed one. There is a crunch to it when I take a bite. It's seeded, so that's something else I feel on my tongue and in between my teeth. And it tastes, let's see, let me look at my list. Savory. It does. It doesn't taste, it tastes almost salty, but I didn't add any salt to it. And very savory and yummy, something that I want to eat more of. And
Melanie, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second to also say that one of the things I really appreciate about you is that you don't focus so much on the sense of taste as you do all of the other senses and how they play into the taste experience. It's very easy as a parent when we want kids to take a taste to put a hyper focus on that. And I understand why. I really do. I have my own very picky eater myself, but it's more important that we approach it more from an educational experience. It's one of the reasons why I have a preschool curriculum that is now nationwide to help kids really, really understand all the different sensory components of food and enjoy adventuring into food, enjoy exploring food. And I actually think the kids are pretty good at it. It's what I love about your products and your information is it helps the parent know how to join the child in the process. So I can tell that we have lots of questions here, and there's a great one right here from Lori that just popped up, and she said, hey, I tuned in late, and is the book good for an 8-year-old with sensory issues? I would say yes, but go ahead while I'm looking for other questions and tell Lori a little bit more about it.
Sure, absolutely. So all of my books are made for any child. I would say 4 and up is what I kind of classify it as. And I think between 6 and 10 is really the perfect age because they can read on their own, they can do their own explorations, and especially if they're really struggling with sensory issues. And I'm not sure if you're talking about the descriptive word book. This will give them tools to this is why I do the work that I do, is that I am all about empowering the child and giving them autonomy to talk about the things they like and don't like. And they have permission to dislike something. But
Absolutely.
that permission comes with the ability to talk about what they like and don't like about a food. So, for example, my 3.5-year-old literally just started eating avocado. She hates mushy foods, and I knew that at a really young age, maybe 1.5, because she wouldn't eat anything, like no bananas, no nothing, unless it's really firm. And so when I noticed this pattern, I started teaching her and giving her the tools to tell me what she doesn't like about something. So now she will eat firm, very firm avocado, and she likes little lemon juice and salt on top, and she likes it on top of really crunchy toast. But I wouldn't know that unless I had empowered her and given her the tools to help me articulate that, or I wouldn't be in tune with that. So that's my goal.
Absolutely. So you said that so beautifully. I always say the number one thing I want every kid to learn, especially the more hesitant eaters, is that not every taste has to taste good.
Right.
It's totally okay to take a taste and go, I don't care for that yet. No big deal.
I actually secretly liked that she didn't like avocado because I really like avocado, which meant it was more for me. But